This is Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War Campaign Mode. What I am going to show you are all in-game screenshots from the game that I took, making them seem like frame stills of a movie that tell the Black Ops Cold War story. A story of NATO forces against a Soviet ghost called Perseus, who seeks to reset the world by detonating dozens of nuclear bombs across Europe. And what we see are various frame stills of that entire ordeal in a shuffled order. What inspired me to make this video is not only all the fun times I had playing the three modes of campaign, multiplayer, and zombies, but more specifically, the entire setting of the game. I have always found Cold War themes to be very engaging. Two world superpowers racing to topple the other, with the entire fate of the world at their hands if one was to take things too far. And the world of Black Ops Cold War is so rich with NATO versus Soviet themes. I especially find Soviet architecture to be very captivating because of how foreign it can be. It's usually combined with Central Asian architecture, which I, for a reason I quite yet don't know, find to be so fascinating. And Cold War has a good amount of those Central Asian designs, and of course, plenty of Soviet ones. Although every Call of Duty game has bloodshed as its forefront experience, I didn't really capture many firefights. I instead wanted to focus on just the ambiance of the game, how these mission maps really had a lot of effort put into their design, and how that design presents a cinema-like experience if you know how to look for it. The in-game graphics are phenomenal. If you have ever played the game, you would say they are pretty good, but nothing special. But some of these photos are almost indistinguishable from real life because they have a lot of contrast. And that's because I made sure that these frame stills have big contrast between light and dark. Not only that, but I try to think about being a camera operator right into the game. If I was filming these events like a movie, what would the composition be? What story is there to tell? What questions would stir up upon looking at the world? And I would say that they came out great because I put mood as the forefront in a lot of the shots. Especially if some of these shots didn't necessarily scream out Cold War as its theme, at least they would be great as standalone shots. But the general rule I had when taking these shots is having a few more things in mind. I wanted to capture space, scale, and time alongside just generalized atmosphere of the game. What I mean by space and scale is just how spacious the world can be, even if it's in a tight room or isn't displaying the great mountains alongside Yamantau. Don't these photos feel true to their place? Almost like the photos are a manifestation of the environment around them. And then with time, I just wanted to capture almost what I would describe to be as silence. With some of these shots being liminal spaces, I just wanted to make them bleak, make you really take in the almost non-existent sound to liminal spaces. Even when there is clearly some action going on, I still want you to think of silence, almost like you have completely stopped time and nothing in the world was moving at all. indefinitely. My two favorite missions to take pictures of were Desperate Measures and Break On Through, with the latter having like 25 screenshots on its own. I'm sure you can see why. This Soviet architecture really is something else, and the entire mission is played in the KGB headquarters, where you will see plenty of Central Asian designs. And the whole mission itself is really enjoyable to play with how unique the plot is. The top layer is pretty cool, but when we get to the bunker layer of the map, things just go 180, and it's like we are in a completely different building. It honestly looks like we're pulling off a bank heist. Well, granted, we are pulling a heist, but not for money, but for that Soviet intel. And then once we are done and we try to escape, the firefights were really fun to play and even more fun to capture it. It truly had me thinking of escape scenes in movies, and this was my favorite firefight sequence to capture, and the only one I had anticipation looking forward to. Then we have Break On Through. This might be the best mission in the campaign because of how surreal the world is. As the mission progresses, the world becomes more uncanny and even downright uncomfortable, as nothing in this Mindscape world makes sense. And I think the studio teams did a fantastic job at giving us something unique, something truly different to have us at the edge of our seats. And the soundtracks you have been listening to are from the game, if you didn't know that. Although frame stills are one thing, I think showing you these stills with the music playing really captivates you into reminding yourself that this really could have been a cinema-grade film production. The graphics are there, the composition is there, the perceived plot and setting is there, and yeah, the music is there. Overall, I had a phenomenal time playing the campaign, from its plot to its setting and presentation and everything else I have said about it. But at the same time, I had an equally great time exploring the world of Call of Duty, Black Ops, Cold War, away from the gameplay and away from the plot. Just freely roaming around and observing the world is an experience on its own. Which is why I plan to make a part 2 to this video by doing the same thing and taking in-game screenshots of the multiplayer maps, which I know are going to be awesome to take. I guess some final remarks I would like to say is that you can enjoy a game for a multitude of reasons, like gameplay, plot, graphics, the community, and anything else. But trying to take in-game photos and really challenging yourself into getting great photos that tell a deep and meaningful story can be considered as its own game. Thank you for watching.